Okay, at that point, I'm going, okay, we've got to put this in writing because I can't have parents and teachers and administrators, knowing that this is now our football rule, but nothing in writing and nothing that the parents know and that other people know. And so we come up with our first ever Bingham football code of ethics. And with this code of ethics, man, I stressed over getting it perfect because I just wanted to make such a difference with these kids now. And I believe in them that they're going to do everything they can to totally buy in to whatever I ask them to do. And I remember it was a turning point because I even went to assistant coaches in the program and just said, okay, I need you to do this and this and this. And if you can't, then I got to find somebody else. I mean, I was like across the board. It was like there's a new, I mean, everybody said we would never win a football championship at Bingham because baseball and basketball were so big. Yeah, I mean, that was what my principal even told me, and he'll deny it. But he even told me, like after I was hired, hey, we know it's going to be really hard to ever win state championships in football because all of our best athletes play basketball and baseball. And I just remember looking at it and go, well, just so you know, you didn't. The person you hired expects to win some football state championships too. I am not taking that as, that's an excuse.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
type of deal.
Yeah.
So I just remember we had that discussion, and I hit him up years later after we won a couple state championships, and he was like, I would have never said that. And I'm going, I'm not making this up. Well, whatever. I mean, it was one of those where I mean, that was, okay. If it wasn't said, then it was implied because that's exactly how I took it. And I didn't like that. So
giving you a pass right off the bat.
So I stressed real big about putting in this code of ethics, the Bingham football code of ethics, and come up with 10 principles from, integrity to regrets to just, service. There was being loyalty. There was 10 different principles that we come up with. Okay. And we started to share those. That become way more with our Bingham football program, way more every Thursday night before our games. It was way more about, okay, are we living up to this code of ethics? Are we, and then we would share stories, and I come up and would find stories that went along with each one of our main things. And every kid, I got a frame with our code of ethics in it. And I should have brought, it would have been nice, anyway, but so I come up with this code of ethics, and it was big, and the kids were buying in, and I think it would become a big thing. Well, that year there was a theft incident. One of my players ended up, stealing at something at some store or whatever. Okay. And that was all part of the code of ethics. Now, it wasn't just drugs and alcohol. It was theft in that. And we had a zero tolerance. You do it, you're done. That was what it was that first year after we had the incident. And needless to say, a really good kid didn't get to be on beyond the football team because of what we had come up with, and then which was really hard. So we went for like a 2-year period where we kept it was almost like the death penalty. If a kid messed up, it was like, you knew, and they did. Everybody knew what the rules were, and then it was just a matter: do you want to live up to them or do you not? And if not, then there was one thing that couldn't happen was I couldn't have a kid break a rule and everybody know and me not back it up at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
At that point, they're all looking at me going, "All right, this kid's a starter. He's a good player. Yep. What's going to happen?" You know what? Well, he was gone. And then the next year I had, so that would have been in 05, and in 05, it was my Stetson. He was a senior by then, and he was the quarterback of our football team, 2-year starter, and by then the culture had really changed a lot and stuff. But and how we played on the field. So in 05, we were ranked number 1 in the state, undefeated, and meeting in the quarterfinals was meeting a really good Brighton team, 2 of the best teams in the state. We had a couple of injuries, and we ended up getting knocked out. And in 05, so the next year after we put in our code of ethics and after I had all the partying going on and all that, that next year, the kids, we'd have our Thursday night meetings, and they would go and have their own individual meetings. And sometimes they would last like 2-3 hours. Wow. And then I would get calls from parents. Why are our kids not home? I mean, they got their game tomorrow. What are they, and I'm going, I mean, I don't know. They're having their player only meetings, whatever, but it was absolutely crazy. The commitment level now was off the charts, like anything I had never seen before. I mean, went from being like, obviously there was a problem, to being over the top. The kids were taking control of the team, and it was like, for a coach, it was just such a good situation at that point. Like what you you just want to see commitment and see kids take, accountability and the whole bit, and man, did they ever do it. And I remember we won our first playoff game that next year, and then we're playing Davis at Davis to get into the semifinals. And so, and this is Stetson's a junior that year, my own son. And so we had to play at Davis, and Davis was ranked pretty high. And we go to play that game, and it was just it was an amazing game. Looked like it was going to go into overtime, and at the end of the game, I mean, they end up. I want to say it ended up being like a 7-3 game, or I don't remember the exact score. I just remember them breaking a tackle, and in the last just minute or so, or a few minutes of the game, they went for a big long touchdown, and our kids were just swarming to the ball, and we thought we had him wrapped up, and so then we took bad angles because we thought he was wrapped up. Somehow the kid broke out and went for a touchdown. And I remember our kids, it was devastating to them because oh my gosh, we played a good game. We played just with our hearts and our souls, and that's just how and we lost a couple games that year, but oh my gosh, those kids were into it like I hadn't seen before. It was amazing, and that was really hard to move on from that group. And then they go to the next year, and that would have been 06, and Bingham had not won a football state championship in 60 years. In football. 60 years, that's kind of a long time. Back in 1946. 1946 they had the last state football championship at Bingham High School. And so in 06, we knew we had a good team coming back. A lot of my kids off of that team now that had been buying in. We had multi-sport kids. There was just a difference in the feel of what our program was about after the 2 years prior that were things, kind of went crazy. And we ended up, making it right to, went undefeated. Kid by the name of Jordan Pendleton ended up playing at BYU, was on that team. Kid by the name of Starlot Talele ended up being the number 13th player picked in the NFL draft for Carolina, was on that team. And we had a bunch of other guys that were just really some really, really good guys. Dusty Heap was our quarterback. I could go through and name a bunch of the guys, but I've become really close with Dusty and his family over the years and that. But so in 06, and after losing to Davis, when we lose to Davis was one of the highest scoring teams in the state at the time. we're at their place in the quarterfinals, and we lose it honestly is like 7-0 or 7-3, but it's just it is a super low scoring defensive battle, gritty, tough game, and then they beat us right at the end on a broken play, and then they go on and score I want to say 40 in the semifinals to make it to the state championship game, and then scored 40 again in the championship game. Davis won it all that year after us giving them everything they wanted at their place early on in that game. Okay, so the next year we come back with a lot of our kids now are seniors, and we end up going undefeated for the year. There's just so much buy-in. It's amazing, and we end up making it right to the state champ. I mean, we're in the semis. Okay, we win in the semis. We now are going to be playing for the first state title, and I don't know, how long I'd been playing for it, but hadn't won one in 60 years. Let's just say it was a big deal in our program. Yeah. And so I had never won a state championship as a player, as a coach, and as a coach, you're always you're just kind of just hoping someday, that if I could ever just win one. I mean, I just remember there was I remember just going, if I could ever just win one, that would just make everything just okay. Yes, I had the right kids. We did all the right things. And what would it feel like to just have that group of kids and coaches, okay, that could go win a state championship, well, so we're going to play that game.
Now we're back.
All right, yeah. So we was just talking about how the buy-in was just awesome, and
leading into state.
Everybody, it'd been a lot of years before we had, since Bingham had won a state championship in football on that, and I had never won one, so it was a major deal, major, buzz around the community, and it was a pretty cool thing. And I remember leading up to that game, though, something I'll never forget is one of our players on our football team made a mistake, and basically during the week of our state championship game ended up chewing some tobacco and ended up being caught at school. And
which was against the code of ethics.
It was against our code of ethics, and at that point, man, there was nothing more I wanted than this was a kid that was one of our starters and a kid that, man, I just loved like he was my own boy. But we now had definitely come up with our code of ethics, and we had a code of ethics policy too. That went right along with our code of ethics. Or can't have a code of ethics without having a policy that says, okay, here's the consequences if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing. And I was really distraught over this one because it was, I love the kid, but at the end of the day, I had to follow through with my rule, and that kid did not get to play in that state championship game, and we barely won. We beat a good Alda team that year, and it was a heck of a game. And that was a hard thing that happened there. Okay.